Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Crack the Egg podcast. I'm Adriana,
And I'm Jess.
and in this podcast, we're talking to you guys about our crochet small businesses and our journeys in that. This is the first episode that we have recorded in a hot minute. We took a little bit of an unexpected break. There were a couple of different motivators for that. One of them being that I got very sick towards the end of October. I had the flu. I ended up losing my voice with that. So obviously that wouldn't come across well on the podcast. And then for both of us, life has just been lifing lately between family events and then markets and things like that. We just have not been able to record until today. So we're super excited to be back in the saddle, but definitely, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling very rusty and almost like I'm doing this
100%.
for the first time all over again.
Like,
Um,
how do we do this?
Right. But I'm so glad to be back, and this time we don't have anything planned in the near future for another break. So you can look forward to our episodes coming out again every other week on Thursdays. And we have a lot of good information for you guys over the next two episodes as we work to kind of catch everyone up on what we've been doing in our businesses. And so today, we're really going to take the time to focus on Jess. She is so much that has happened over the last, I would say, 6 weeks or so between events that she's been doing, as well as other projects and initiatives. And so we're really going to spend our time today focused on Jess. And then the next episode, you guys will hear all about what I've been up to. And yeah, we'll go from there. But before we get into anything else, Jess, what are you crocheting as we record?
I am working on elf hats.
Oh, very nice. Oh my gosh, those are huge.
They're amazing and they're such a good seller. Knock on all the wood. I just made my dog bark by doing that. My last show of last year was the first and only time really these have been brought out. And like I think I only had like seven. And they all sold out before the show even started by just my neighbor vendors. And the whole entire show, people saw the people wearing the hats and were asking where they were from and like, where can I get it? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't make enough. So I really need to bust them out because that same show is my next show and my last show of this year. And part of something we'll be talking about a little later about what I've been up to. I have challenged myself in this week from yesterday until next Friday to see how many of them I can make in a week. So, and yesterday and today, I haven't done anything. This is my first one. So, yeah, that's what I'm working on. What about you? What are you working on?
So my next show is in a week, and I have been really dedicated to making a lot of smaller stuff in the last few weeks since there was like a 5 day stretch where I couldn't crochet when I got sick, and then ever since then it's just been trying to play catch up where I've been trying to restock Artisan Mill and like change my booth from Halloween to Christmas. So I've been working on that, but also trying to balance market prepping because I have a feeling this market's going to be probably a really big one for me as far as it's a holiday market and things like that. So I have made the switch since yesterday to focusing on loveys because when we'll talk about it in the next episode, but I'm really not well stocked right now at the moment on loveys, and so I am currently working on the Briggs Bear, which is probably my favorite lovey, at least for the current moment to work on. So. Last night I'm almost finished with one. I ran out of the yarn. I have more of it. I just needed to go get it. But I have one Briggs Bear that just needs one arm crocheted and then both arms sewn on. Then I started another Briggs Bear yesterday, just making the head, and that I love how that looks. For those who are watching on YouTube, I just love the way that that works. Now, is there something that's going to be on the end of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to go get it. My sister, that was the worst part last year that I didn't make so many is because the palms you had to make yourself with a palm maker, and I hated doing it.
Sure. That's
So my
fair.
sister so graciously has whipped up a whole bunch of them. So
Nice. But anyway, so I started another Briggs bear last night, and that one is a polar bear, which I've actually never made before, but I was inspired by Loved Knots, 'cause she was posting about one she made, and we had a really nice conversation actually afterward, and it was so nice because she's a much bigger presence in the crochet community than me, so it was really cool to get to talk to her a little bit. And now I'm starting a third one. And this might end up having to be the last one because I really want to. First of all, I have to look and see what do I have left, but I really want to switch to some of the other patterns like there's a baby deer one, like a fawn one that I want to make, and I want to try to make the fox. And at this juncture, I'm not worried about making the little sizes. I'm just worried about making the mini because I can bust those out a lot faster and then have have essentially focus on having more rather than trying to hit the bigger amounts. So, yeah, if that makes sense.
the minis are the smallest, right? I never remember because it's like mini and then
Little.
little and then
I feel like,
big,
but
or is it like no name for the next one?
I don't know if the big ones have a name because those, like, I don't think there were ever more than a couple of those sizes made. Like, I know there's a dinosaur that's made in that size, but like in the really big one, but I can't think of how many other patterns that Mama Made Minis has that are any that are that much bigger than the littles, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm working on, and I just realized as I'm working on this, you have to start with the ears when you're making the heads for these, and I just realized that first ear that I made I screwed up on, so that's
Oh
excellent.
no.
But off to a hot start, but it's okay. Such is life. So anyway,
I like your polar bear. I saw your post on it.
polar bears are like my absolute favorite animal too, so I'm gonna have a really hard time giving this one up, but having the stock at this point is more important than my own selfish wants. So, I will put it out, but if it doesn't sell at my last two events, I am probably definitely gonna end up keeping it for myself.
There you go.
And maybe put it with my other polar bear plushies that I have. So, yeah. So, you've had a lot going on, and so one of the things that we're going to start with before we do some mini recaps of your most recent events is we're going to talk about your YouTube journey. So, can you kind of just tell the
Yeah.
tell the people about, first of all, when you started, why you started, what your goals with it are, and just give us kind of some of the background.
When did I start? It was sometime in October, but just like you, I think something I enjoy doing is logging into YouTube and while I'm crocheting, like finding a crochet vlogger to just, have on in the background and hear how others are like running their businesses or like their behind the scenes lives kind of relatable stuff. Um, I don't know what inspired me, but I was like, I feel like I have enough content because I crochet all the time, like all day long. I just need a camera in front of my face and I can make my own episodes. So I decided to give it a shot. And I think I'm like 5 videos in already. I'm posting weekly every Wednesday under Crack Creations. So if you just look up my business name, you'll find me. Um, and it's kind of a little bit of everything. Like I did an introduction about myself. Um, I do show recaps, but I'm doing them in a more um like behind the scenes kind of approach, um like preparing for a show, packing the car, like making the product and then setting up. the show and then like a recap afterwards. Um, and then there's gonna be a couple videos on certain projects that I'm working on. And like I mentioned earlier, these hats, this next video that I'm working on is going to be a challenge to see how many of these I can make in a week. So just a little bit of behind the scenes hopefully keeps me motivated because if I didn't, I think for this one specifically, if I didn't challenge myself, I probably wouldn't touch these things until like a week or two before the show. And I'd be in the same situation where I wouldn't have enough and I'd be kicking myself for it. So maybe if there's a little like accountability behind it, then it'll actually get done. Because I really set for my next show, I'm probably only going to be working on these hats. I don't know if I mentioned, I have these elf hats and I have the exact same hat, but Santa. It's all red with a white brim. Um, so yeah, that's the YouTube journey.
What has been like some of the feedback that you've gotten so far as like, I don't know, comments or subscribers or yeah, things like that?
Uh, not so much feedback yet. Um, Views are kind of low, but I didn't really market it until probably a month after doing it. I think I didn't market it until after I had 4 videos out because I wanted to make sure that I was actually going to do it and
That's
not just be a
fair.
yeah, and not just be a like a one post video and then I don't feel like doing this. So
So go ahead.
I mean that could totally still happen, but for the moment like it's going pretty well. Right now I feel like I have enough content to like last a couple weeks.
And for people who might be considering starting a YouTube for themselves, kind of what has it looked like for you on the back end to get started with this as far as like how are you filming your videos? How are you editing them? Things like that.
So far, literally everything, every step has been on my phone. And like I downloaded an app called CapCut on my phone that is free and it's pretty user friendly, pretty self-explanatory. Um, I it's very clear in my videos that I'm an amateur, but I think with enough practice and like consistency and repetitiveness that it'll get better. Um, but yeah, so far it's only my phone. There are some times where I wish I had a second recording device because um like at a show, for example, I'd like to have a camera going and then also maybe be on live at the same time. So yeah, maybe eventually I'll work up to a camera.
They can get so stupid expensive though, so I get it. And honestly,
No.
the power that most phones nowadays have is more than enough for something like what you're doing as far as posting on YouTube and other places.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's so at least to get started and just at the level I'm at, there's no need to go crazy buying extra stuff,
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
which is very weird coming out of my mouth because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I have to get all the up to date new things like to make it perfect.
That's so fair, honestly. Um, so something else since the last time we recorded is last time you were preparing for this Halloween stuffy camp at your favorite yarn shop and so where you were going to be teaching again for the second time. And so can you tell us first of all like how that went and give us kind of the scoop on that?
I think it went well just based off of Mary, the shop owner, telling me that people told her that it was a good day and the classes were good. But internally, I felt awful. Like I felt like it was an awful day and that I kind of had an imposter syndrome maybe because um like I know my strengths, and when people ask me to teach them to crochet, I am like I know to say no because I know I don't have the patience for like an absolute beginner to teach them the basics 101. Um I, I don't know why that is, but like I just know that that's not where my strengths are. But give me a pattern and I can definitely walk you through it. This class, we had two. We had so there were two stuffies. I taught the ghost, and my friend Kate, also friends with the shop, she taught a pumpkin. So we both taught our separate classes in the morning, and then we both taught the same classes in the afternoons. And most of the students just flip flopped. So if they did the ghost in the morning, they did the pumpkin in the afternoon, and vice versa. There was at least one student in each class who came in with somebody and knew nothing, like not how to hold anything. And this is so hard because, like, it was so frustrating just because I didn't know how to teach them, like and I feel like I spent a lot of time with these people and I wasn't intentionally ignoring, like, I kept asking around, like, how's everyone doing? I kept checking in with everybody, like, do you need help? And others would need help at sometimes, and then that would set the newbie off, like they'd forget what they were doing. And so me personally, I felt like that day was a failure because I didn't feel like I did a very good job. And then I guess my class ended early, my last class. I don't think they ended early, they were just done. um and when I came back down to the shop, Kate was finishing up her last pumpkin class, and it felt like her classes went better than mine. So there was also a, like, I think there was a little bit of jealousy. Like I felt like I should have been better, not better than Kate, but like better than what I felt like I did. And then just seeing her be successful, it was like, oh darn it. Like we could have both been successful.
Did she also have the same thing that you did, though, as far as having people who were brand spanking new to crochet?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was the same people. It was one of those the flip people.
Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who does this professionally, like obviously I don't teach crochet, but like I teach something that is skill based. Like it's not like history where you're essentially, and please don't get offended if you are a history teacher, but like you're not just like regurgitating kids information to kids. Like with German or like with math, for example, you have to actually teach that skill, but that curse of knowledge is so challenging, and it's like it's why you have to get a degree to do teaching. I know crochet is a little bit different, but it's still something that's based in skill, and that being able to do that, like take something and break it down into its smaller parts so that people can build up to what the ultimate goal is, that is so challenging. Like that's hard. So I wouldn't beat yourself up. And not only that, I think what you're saying sounds like a pretty typical teacher experience where I remember you saying the one that you did previously, that first lesson where you guys were they were crocheting the bees, how you felt a lot better about that. I mean, I have this too, like where it can be the same lesson that I've taught before that I didn't went fine, but with a certain group of people, just a certain dynamic or a certain personality or even the time of day can make such a difference in how people can acquire the ability to do something. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, everything you're saying, I think is totally a valid experience when you're trying to teach people how to do something new. I mean, it's not easy for sure.
Yeah. And this is such, it's probably the same with knitting. Anyone teaching someone how to knit. Like, I've been doing this for almost 30 years now. And like, it's just a muscle memory. And it seems so simple to us. And it's so hard to understand why someone, like, I will literally be showing them, like, walk with me. You put it in here, you wrap it around, you pull it through. Like, I will literally be in their face showing it to them, and they will be doing it's like that Friends episode where Phoebe is teaching Joey to speak French. And slowly he repeats her exactly, and then they do it all in one faster, and it's not even the
Mm-hmm.
same thing.
That
So
sounds exactly right.
yeah, and I'm sure I was like that when I was learning, but it's really hard to like go back to that. And like I don't even like I'll tell someone to do to put their hook in the stitch, and they're like, "What's the stitch?" And I'm like, "It's right here. This is a stitch." And then like seconds later they'll be like, "What's a stitch?"
Yep.
I
I,
101 is not for me.
Trust me, I get it. That's exactly how I feel trying to teach. Like I thrive teaching the advanced students because they already know how what I mean when I say conjugate a verb, and
Yeah.
they already know the difference between a noun and a verb and like those kinds of things, like where it's not so much that I'm literally building step by step how to actually learn a language. By that point, they already have a foundation. So trust me, it totally makes sense. I totally get it. So what's the future looking like as far as um teaching classes at the shop?
Well, there's definitely one posted right now, being advertised as like a Christmas gift you can get someone. But it's for next year. It's the 9-month blanket class
Mm-hmm.
where it's me partnering with another girl who have the granny square deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to pick 24 cards out of that deck. And each month we're going to teach three of them. And so it's one class a month for 9 months. Each class we're going to teach three squares, and your homework is to go home and do another one of each square. And in the end, you'll have 48. And the last class, we'll put them all together. I could be mixing numbers up. I know in the end there will be 48, and I don't remember how we get there. But
No, that's fair.
um, yeah, and you can, if you do, you don't have to do the whole 9-month course. You can just pick a couple class, like one class or a couple classes, and just make enough squares to end up with 48 in the end. Or you can do the whole thing. And if you do the whole thing, you get a discount.
Gotcha.
And I think there's also gonna be like some kind of collab in the store with one of the yarn brands that they carry. Um, it might be a new yarn they're bringing in that we're gonna make like kits, I think, of maybe 3 colors. Um, and that's another thing. Like it will be a different one for each month's class. So you can buy them each month, or you can buy, if you're doing all the classes, you can buy all the yarn at a discount. But you don't have to buy that yarn. You can totally bring your own, like, if you go to the store, pick your own colors, your own yarn. That that's an option too.
So then the granny squares that people are going to learn how to make each month, are they themed to that month around like a holiday, or are they just different granny square styles, if that makes sense?
Yeah, they're just different granny square styles.
Gotcha. No, that's cool. Do you
Yeah.
have any information so far as like what the sign up process has been looking like so far?
Oh no, I don't. I know it's up and available to sign up, but I have not asked about signups. So
Gotcha. Cool. That'll be a really cool thing for us to update everybody on as you are teaching the classes. And it'll be really cool to see what your final product is too, and then any of the students that you have. So that'll be nice.
there might be another class before Christmas. There was going to be another stuffy camp, but I talked to Kate this week and she doesn't really want to do it
Mm,
because stuffies just aren't her thing. The pumpkin was she just made a flat panel and it's the way you sew it together that you can create the pumpkin.
mm-hmm,
Um and she felt really guilty telling me. I'm like, girl, if like don't do it. Don't like
mm-hmm,
if it's not something you enjoy doing, don't do it.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'm still going to be teaching what I was going to because I was going to do that gnome.
Mm,
Um yeah. So I don't know if I'm still doing that. I haven't heard anything lately, so we'll
mm-hmm.
see.
Gotcha. Well, keep us updated. And yeah, I mean, even to have that opportunity is still so cool. Like being able to help either help people grow in their love for the craft, whether it's like learning a new skill or something, or just to help people come to the craft in the first place by teaching them how to do it. That's really awesome.
I think it's like I love what this shop is doing in terms of these classes. Like um didn't like Michael's used to teach classes like this?
I think they did, and I don't know if they've completely done away with them or what, but I feel like I do distinctly remember them offering different classes for like different types of crafts.
Yeah. And like at the level I am with crochet, there's some stuff where I'm like I would just be wasting money taking this class. But like I took her learn how to knit, like knitting 101 class, and I loved it. I just think it's a fun experience as a crafter, something you like doing, and then having this option to like learn in person from someone about it is which is another strange thing for me to say because I don't like in-person things anymore.
Sure, that's honestly fair. So, we're gonna do before we get into your mini recaps, we are gonna do our question of the day. So today's question is, would you rather, and I feel like this is very timely because I don't know if you follow Maisami Toys, but she's the girl that makes like the huge statues and she always does them like in a series. Do you know who I'm talking
With
about?
the wood, that one.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah. She made like a horse.
Yes, yes. So this
Yeah.
question's very, very timely. So, because she just completed a series, or she's about to as we're recording. I don't remember what it's supposed to be, but I know that it's white because that's the yarn that she's been using. So, I don't know if she finished that series yet or not. So TBD. But in any case, would you rather make a life-size plushie? So basically, like those sculptures that are like 3 feet tall, or at least, or 50 mini earring-sized ones?
I think I'd rather make a life size one.
Agreed. 1,000% agreed. So for me,
Yeah.
it's partially because if you're making mini earring sized crochet, whatever, I'm assuming it's micro crochet, and I've not dabbled into that yet, and I don't know if I ever will. And making anything in a like rapid succession that's of a certain quantity, I get very sick and tired of that quite quickly. I really have to break that up into essentially like phases, I guess, or stages. And also too, the thought of making a life-size plushie, despite the fact that it would take many, many hours, I can't imagine what that sense of accomplishment is afterward compared to like making a bunch of little things. It's like, okay, like it's just not as, I don't know, not as significant, I guess. What are your thoughts?
No, I'm not interested in the way she's doing it with the actual like sculptural wood pieces and
Sure.
all that. But like a large plushie, I'd be down for,
Yeah.
which is kind of the whale I made already.
Right, right. Well, yeah, that's honestly
He's
fair.
probably he's probably at least 3 feet.
Yeah, at least. Fair. So we we decided for a couple different reasons that rather than breaking out these market recap episodes or show recaps that we do, rather than dedicating, since we had our unscheduled break, rather than splitting them into three separate episodes, what we decided to do is, especially because some of them, I think the first show was 2 months ago already. So we decided that we would kind of do mini recaps of each one within this episode. And so we tried to pick the information or the questions that would be of most interest to you guys, most likely. And so we're going to get into those recaps now. And so the first show, Jess, of yours that we're going to talk about is the show that you had in Hummelstown. So, can you give us the general info as long as when was it, how long of a day was it, and was it a repeat show for you?
Yes, it was a repeat show. First of all, also we are doing these shorter versions of these recaps because, like Adriana said, this one was at least 2 months ago, and I've forgotten everything. So September 13th in Hummelstown, downtown Hummelstown, just on the streets, and I believe it was 9 to 4. That sounds about right.
Okay. Um, at this market that you can remember, did you bring any new items?
I don't think so. I did have smaller versions of my silly hands. And this was the first show that I brought out some winter accessories. So I didn't like not everything, but just some things to get the season started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you have any before we get into like the sales breakdown of things, did you actually before we even get into that, do you remember what your booth fee was?
85.
Okay,
I don't think it was 3 digits
gotcha.
yet.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any interesting aspects to the show as far as customer interactions or anything that's really memorable?
Yep, there were two.
All right, give it
um
to us.
so this show was my first sale of a large anchor, and it honestly could not have gone to the coolest people. Like the whole interaction with them was awesome. Like I didn't feel guilty about pricing or anything, and like it was just so cool. And they picked my favorite one too. They picked the one with the interstellar yarn.
Oh, that's sick.
And yeah, which was also the first one I actually made. So it was just a very pleasant experience. And now that I'm thinking about that, I have 3 interactions. I also sold my first large silly hand, and that was a very negative experience because it was a kid, and he like he knew he wanted it, and his grandma was paying for it, and I was like, okay, that'll be $65. And she like lost her mind, and she paid for it, but then their family was at the next stand over. And after they paid for it, they went over and like they were complaining about it the whole time. She's like, why is this $65? And this, it was awful. And I couldn't even be happy about that sale because like it was terrible.
I can't understand why people go to like a handmade event and then balk at what handmade things cost. Like you have to be at some level aware of what it costs to make things that are handmade. Like I don't know what to say.
But like, don't even buy it. Like, tell him to put it back
Right.
if you don't
Yeah.
like that price. You didn't have to pay for it.
Right. Exactly. I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
It was like it was very fortunately the anchor experience came after that. So it was like a nice pick me up. Um, but then the third interaction was another anchor interaction, but it was a runaway anchor. I saw like I knew it was happening. My sister and I, like we both saw it. There was a kid, like mm, maybe 7 or 8. I don't know. I'm not very good at judging that. This little kid, he came running up to the anchor wall and he picked one of them up, and I saw it in his eyes. Like I saw his brain working, and he took off. But fortunately, he took off just right across the street. And like as soon as he turned around, I was up out of my seat, and my sister's like, "You got this?" And I said, "Yep." And I was after him, and his family was right there at the stand across, and I just kind of stood in the middle of the street, just kind of waiting. And his mom was like, "Where did you get this?" And she saw me and she's like, "Is this yours? I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's okay. It's just a 3-digit item, and it shouldn't be running away."
No, and but honestly, that makes me so angry because like when you that I don't know. I'm gonna get on my soapbox here, and I'm sorry if I offend people, but I'm just like, when you bring kids at that age to an event like that, not only is it dangerous in the sense of anyone could come along and get and pick them up if you're not watching them, but it's also dangerous in the sense of like your child could get accused of doing something like stealing when they don't necessarily understand what they're doing. And I mean, at least it's a plushie. God forbid if it would drop on the ground, like you could brush it off, whatever. But like there are makers who make some really expensive things like pottery and whatever. And if a kid runs, grabs that, drops it because they're not paying attention because the parents aren't watching them or whoever their grown up is responsible for them, then most likely what's going to end up happening is those people will just say, oops, sorry, and try to get out of paying for it. And then that's product that you lose because of their irresponsibility. Like that stuff drives me so crazy. And like I know that we deal with it a lot because a lot of what we're making is appealing to kids. But like the fact of the matter is like these parents like they have to be watching their children, like it's not just for their own safety, but that drives me insane when people bring kids to an event and then they just let them run around, grab whatever they want, and I don't know, I have many questions when I see stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I predicted it. I knew it was going to happen as soon as I saw him come over. And it wasn't a like a malicious thought. He just wanted to show his mom it,
Sure.
but like I knew it was going to walk away.
Right. And the problem with that is like, great, you want to show it, but like with an event, depending on like what the traffic looks like, it's easy to lose track of where a person goes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So, I don't know. You would hope that everyone would be honest about things, but I could totally see a world in which a kid would grab something and the grown-up responsible for them would just not necessarily care about returning and or paying for the item. Like, I mean, the reality is like we see theft from adults all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other memorable things from the show?
No, no.
Okay.
This is a
Um,
good show. We keep coming back,
hmm So
and
give
it's
us
easy for us.
breakdown of like what are your financials? Like how did sales end up turning out?
Not too bad. We still didn't reach last year's number, but it wasn't by a lot. So last year was 1,637. We hit 1,545.
Okay.
So it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, in the economy we have right now, honestly, I think being anywhere close to prior year numbers is a blessing.
Yeah. So it's only a $92 difference,
Mm-hmm.
which
Did
is
you
like compared to the rest of the year, it's great.
Sure, sure. Did you have any bestsellers?
I don't think so, but you know what shocked me is that the Lafufus have kind of died down.
That makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll have any kind of an uptick for Christmas because now people have a reason to buy them. You know what I mean? Or if that's
So
just
there's a lot of people now are
completely dumb.
commenting on just how ugly they are.
Well, I mean
how
that's
how ugly
fair.
the real things are.
Right. Well, they were always ugly, so
Yeah. So like they'll see mine and be like, "Oh, this is so cute," but now it's just a conversation of the real ones are just so ugly, and
sure, sure.
like, well, this one is more cuddly.
Right, exactly. And handmade. So
Which,
there's
by the
that.
way, at my next show we're going to talk about, there was a reseller who had the real ones, and I bought one.
All right.
I got the green one.
Oh my gosh. They are just like
I don't get it.
no, not at all. Like I feel like at this point all you have to do is find, I don't know, the right influencer to blow something up and it doesn't matter how ugly it is, it doesn't matter how silly it is. People will just latch onto that trend and milk it for all it's worth.
We literally had to look up to validate that it was real
Sure.
because like when I opened it, one of the feet was twisted. And I'm like, isn't that a sign of a fake one? But like
I
it just
thought.
seems they both just seem loose. And you won't be able to see it in here, but on one of the eyes in the green part, there's like a distinct line straight through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it bothers me.
I wonder if the person was able to resell them because they were like defective. You know what I mean? Like if they were real ones, like if they had some kind of flaw, if that's how they got them in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
How would they know though?
I don't like if the manufacturer, when they go through quality control, if the manufacturer said, well, these ones have flaws to them, sell them whatever. I don't know. I'm just wondering
I
because
don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's hard, or it was hard. I don't know what it is now to get them. So,
Well, no, I don't think it's hard anymore.
yeah, probably not.
I don't think they sold out all weekend because every time I did a lap, they still had some.
Sure, that's fair. So, the next show on our list to debrief is the Sci-Fi Valley Con. So, can you give us when was that? How long was that? What was the booth fee? Is this a repeat show? Which if you listen to the podcast, you already know Jess has done Sci-Fi Valley Con shows before. So, tell us the background.
I have so much grief about this show. When was it? It was October. I should open up to the page. It was the beginning of October. And I didn't write the dates down. I feel like 16, 15, 16, 17, or hold on. 17, 18, 19. How about that? That's October. Never mind. Yes. Oh my God. 17, 18, 19. Wow. And it was in Altoona, Pennsylvania again.
All right. And do you remember your booth fee?
300 something.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you take any new items that you can remember?
Nope.
And what made this show, what was the word that you just used? Or the
I don't
phrasing?
know what I used.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
have grief about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what are give us the tea. What are the
Oh,
reasons for your grief?
there's so much that happened before the show even, like months before the show even started. Um, so I've done this show a lot. I think now it's 4 years, 6 shows because of last year them starting the fall show. Um, and every year I fill out the application exactly the same. I don't specify like a space location because I
Mhm.
don't have any preferences. And it's a 2 level show. I've always been upstairs and it's always been away from other crocheters. They released the floor plan to the public before just the vendors, which they've never done before. They usually send it out to the vendors, be like, hey, we're going to be posting this soon. So they released it to the public. I didn't see it. My brother-in-law saw the post first and he sent me a text and he's like, downstairs this year. And I didn't understand what it was. And when it clicked, I was like, oh, shoot. And I immediately went looking. I didn't have any emails from them. I had to go to their social pages to find it. And we were downstairs. And I don't know if we talked about it when we recapped the June show, but downstairs in June was like the worst it's ever been because first of all, the celebrities they had was the Twilight cast for the reunion for Twilight, and the lines for the celebrities were just outrageous. Um, and there was so much issues from the vendors with connecting their credit card machines. So taking payments was hard for them. Um, and I know a lot of people complained about it. So when I saw this, it kind of felt like because I wasn't a complainer, I wasn't a downstairs complainer, that they just moved me. Um, but not only did they just move me, they moved me immediately next to 2 other crocheters with a third one across the walkway. And listen, I don't have a problem with other crocheters being at the same events as me. Like you want to do it, do it. Like we all had different stuff, but for me, there's just something about so many vendors of the same category like immediately next to each other. I reached out to the organization and I was like, look, I've always been upstairs. I feel like I've never caused any problems. I've never really reached out asking for anything. Um, would you please consider, it doesn't have to be back upstairs, but at least moving me away from the other crocheters because it's just not a good thing for any of our businesses.
Well, not only
And I
that
didn't
too,
hear,
but you're inviting conflict between people by having the same category near each other. Like you're risking having problems. But anyway, keep going.
yeah. I didn't hear back from them for like a week and a half. And I, in any of my correspondence, I was not being like demanding or aggressive about anything. Um, I felt like I was very professional in what I said. So in my, I just sent a follow up. I just said, "Hey, I just want to make sure you got my first message. Is there anything I can do? Or just like let me know that you got it." And they responded kind of snippy. Like it threw me off guard the way it was just like, "Yeah, well, we can't do anything until someone drops out." And that was all I got. It was just a one sentence kind of like abrupt. So I was like, okay, like whatever, whatever is gonna happen, is gonna happen. And then I never heard anything again until almost right before the show when they released the official download for the program because they make really nice programs for the weekend. And they had moved me and they had moved me back upstairs. And it was great. Like everything was fine. I was looking forward to the show. Come the show, I get there, check in is fine. I know where I'm going. I got there a day early to set up so I could just chill in the hotel room for the night and um, ease into it the next day. I'm on an end space. And like I've mentioned before, it's like they're big ovals. So there's two spaces on each end with more vendors on the sides. I'm on an end space, and the person here has two aisle spaces. He's like mid setup by the time I get there. And I haven't done anything yet. I'm just standing there collecting myself, preparing to do what I got to do. And he comes up to me and he's like, "Oh, are you the crocheter?" I was like, what do you want?" And he's like, "I don't know if you're going to want to stay here. You might want to ask to be moved." I said, like, what's your problem? Why? And he said, I guess he's always had that spot where he was. And the person there, another vendor used to always be where I now was. And he liked having this person there because it was one person. And he said they were just an artist, kind of like negatively, and that she just sits at her table. She doesn't move around. She doesn't take up any space because he needs all the behind the table space. And I was like, well, there's three of us, but like we're respectful of our vendor neighbors. We don't mess with anybody. Like we keep to ourselves. Like if we get along with our vendor neighbors, yeah, like we chat and have a good weekend. Like we're not going to be in your space, dude. And he just kept going. He said that he went to the organizers, I guess, when he checked in and asked them to move me before I got there. And they told him that no, it was my decision if I wanted to be moved.
What a
And
guy.
he's just like, I, he like everything he's saying to me, I'm just like becoming more and more deflated. Like, what the hell is going on? And he was so hard trying to convince me to switch with the person who's always been in my spot, in the spot that I was. And he got the program and he was looking on the map to show me where she was. And not only did they also put her downstairs, but they put her in the most like off the beaten track, secluded room with like two other vendors. I swear to God, there were like three vendors in this. It was like a triangle shaped room. It was so weird. And like, never in the so many times I've been there have I ever gone in there or ever seen any vendors in there. He was trying so hard to get me to switch with her. And I was like, it's not happening. I don't think so. Um, so eventually, I think when he realized that I wasn't budging, he backed off, and then we ended up having a fine weekend, like working together. It was only him. Also, this is what pisses me off. It was only him working, and he had two spaces. but he was a reseller of like anime stuff. So he had huge like trash bags of plushies, and that's what he needed the behind the table space for because like he couldn't use the under table space.
Sounds
And
like he should have just purchased a third space, honestly. Like, that's how presumptuous to assume anyway, no matter what vendor's there, that you could just take up more of their space. Like,
I
and you didn't
know,
pay
and
for
I
it.
was like, clearly you've done this show before, you know the space situation.
Right,
And also be respectful of your vendor neighbors. Like
right,
I'm allotted this much space, and I know the three of us are fine. Like we're
right.
not gonna cause problems.
Incredible.
Yeah. I mean, then like we got along during the weekend, which was good, but
Mm-hmm.
that was how it started. And I was angrily texting Michelle and Ed all night. Like, what the hell is going on?
So from there, how did things go as far as sales, bestsellers?
Friday was really bad. Um, Fridays are usually always bad, but it was so dead. Um, we only made $245 on Friday. And like this when I give you final numbers and stuff for this show, it's gonna seem so like I like contradictory of everything I'm saying because in the end, we only came up like $91 short of last year, but it took two huge sales to like get the ball rolling because Friday was dead and then Saturday was mostly dead until I sold my final two large anchors, which was amazing. We had the wheel, like we manifested these sales. These people were really interested in the anchors. And I had my wheel that, follow me, get a chance to win. Um, and they both landed on, I think they both landed on 20% or like 1 and 1, but they both got the discount and they both bought the anchor. So if it wasn't for those two sales, it probably would have not been so hot.
What did your final number end up coming out to be for the 3 days?
1,274. And last year was 1,365, which to me is still very low because it
Mm-hmm.
was 3 days.
Right. I don't
Um,
disagree.
and there was travel and there was a hotel stay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that it was fine in the end, I guess. But
Sure.
we've discussed potentially eliminating the fall sci-fi and also the Harrisburg four state because especially after this year, it's just not been it. Like the first shows are okay. Like Hagerstown for four state is pretty decent, and then June for sci-fi is usually when they have the bigger celebrities. Because they're gonna have the Twilight cast again next June. Um, but also we had a discussion that like it's bad because like the economy and all that stuff is also bad right now, and people just aren't buying stuff. So like you kind of have to suffer through these bad ones because maybe they'll get good again. So I don't know, it's hard to determine if I'm going to be doing the fall sci-fi again right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part's hard. I don't know. I guess if it's to me like I don't know. I struggle because I'm also at the point where I'm just like, economy or not, I'm finding it not that difficult anymore to eliminate a show, like from being considered in the future, just because I think, especially with the number of options that are out there now for shows, like, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know, it's hard.
Yeah, it's really
But
hard
I just
because
think,
sometimes it's not fun anymore. Like
right.
I keep saying, as long as it's still fun, I'll continue to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that it's not fun anymore. It's just certain shows are really like putting some kind of weight on my shoulders, like dragging me down and kind of um giving me a bad attitude, which is not good. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's lowering my spirits. It's just kind of a drag to work so hard preparing for these shows. And then like some of them I'm not even excited for anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
like oh gosh, I have another show this weekend. Um which it's not a good attitude to have going into these things, but
Mm-hmm. I think
I
part of
don't know.
the
Is it me?
I don't think so because going into the show, vendor situation with that weirdo aside, like, because people, you can have that no matter what. Like, there was a clear, to me, from everything you told me about it, there was a clear disrespect for vendors, and I don't love that. And it also does not sound, and like from other comments you've made in the past, like some of the marketing isn't exactly where it probably should be for something of that size and honestly for what you're paying, because ultimately, yes, part of your vendor fee goes to renting the place. And then part of it also does need to be to some extent profit for them, but a good chunk of that should also go into the marketing part. So to me, it just does not, none of this screams like they care about vendors having a good experience. And like, and just what you said about, okay, the guy was trying to get you to switch with someone who was in an objectively terrible spot. Again, that doesn't scream that they care about how events actually go for the vendors. So I don't know. I would struggle with it too
That
because
wasn't the organizer trying to get me to switch. That was
no,
the
no, no,
vendor.
I know, but the fact that they put her in such a bad
Oh,
spot to begin with,
yeah.
that I think again shows like a lack of care for the vendor experience and like
Well,
if
also, why did they move me to begin with?
well, and also like the lack of communication as well. Like, okay, you didn't hear back from them in how many days, and you had to send a follow-up, and the communication that you did get was snarky. But also, when they did ultimately end up moving you, they didn't communicate that to you. Again, like that does not speak to a care for vendor experience, and I just think there are so many other options out there where the organizers do genuinely care about how vendors do, not just from a standpoint of financials, but also like that they have a good experience while they're at the show. So I get the struggling part with it, especially because like FOMO is such a thing. Um,
Mhm.
but I think the fact that you're saying like this isn't something like these shows aren't what you're looking forward to, and it's taking the fun out of the experience for you, and again how much you're working it because ultimately not having sales, it's not coming from you have always more than enough inventory, you have a variety, your work is of high quality, like it isn't anything within your control. And I mean, I think that goes for most people when it comes to these shows, but I just think if you have a similar experience each time, that's probably speaking to it does not matter how what kind of customers walk through if it's still not if they're not getting them in the door, and then they're also making it difficult for vendors to have a good experience no matter what. I don't know.
I feel kind of bad in thinking maybe they're not caring about the vendors because before this year, I loved coming to this show. Like, I didn't think there was anything negative about the organizers. I thought they did a really good job. But there was just this year, the June and the October shows, there was just it was something was very off. And um I don't think there was a change in leadership, but I did when you were talking about marketing, I remembered that before, like the week of the show, I talked to my brother-in-law Ed, and I was like, you know, usually they're posting a lot about ticket sales and how like record ticket sales and um lots of promotion, lots of advertising. And then this show, like I feel like it's been crickets. Like they're not posting anything. And he agreed. He said just about anything, like not just ticket sales, but just promoting the show in general. There's been silence, and I don't really know what's up with that, but
Mm-hmm.
what we're signed up for next June. So, and this time I actually in the space requirement, I said, please give me space similar to, and I like listed a space number, which also I had mentioned, like, I'm pretty sure 90% of the vendors are repeat vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So why as an organizer would you mess with the layout?
Mm-hmm.
Like keep the layout, keep the people where they are. Because first of all, it's going to help the repeat customers who come know
Mm-hmm.
where their favorite spots are. And second, it's going to if you change it up, like it's gonna make your life harder
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna like cause problems. So like, why are you messing with it? Like, why are you starting from scratch? Just leave the people coming back where they were
Mm-hmm.
and then deal with the new people coming in. This was this was a weekend.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what was your most recent show, and that was a high school craft show at a school not terribly far from you. So give us once again that general info. When was it? How long? What was your booth fee? Was this a repeat show?
This is my first time doing this one. This was at Lower Dauphin High School. Um, my I bought two spaces and I think my total was like 135. And it was from 9 to 3, which for us is short.
Sure. Um, what did you bring any new items to this show?
I brought these out for the first time this year.
Okay. Were there any memorable customer interactions or other details about the show?
Okay. This is another bad one. A bad one of things happening before the show even started. Um, okay. So it was on Saturday last weekend, and they allowed you to come Friday night to set up. I get there. It is what time was setup started at 6. I don't think they opened the doors till after 6. And I was talking to other vendors outside waiting, and they were already kind of complaining about the organizers, saying that last year they didn't open the doors till like half an hour later. And then like the ending time came and they were like trying to force people out sooner than. So already I was like, oh, great. And for this show, on my application, the last time I did a high school show, I was put in a hallway, like in the furthest back corner, no service. Like my credit card machine didn't pick service up all day. And I had to trust that people's credit cards were good because I had to work with my credit card machine offline. And like when I got home and connected to Wi-Fi, that's when everything came through. So I didn't know that sales were actually going to process until I got home. Anyway, on this application, I said, please don't put me in a hallway. Please put me in a gym or a cafeteria, which they did. They put me in a gym. And yay, but then a it was called the small gym, and the way they had laid out the just the map, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I was on like the outside, but it looked like I didn't there wasn't much room between my table and the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never been to this show even as a customer, so I didn't know like if like what the spatial situation was. And I reached out to my boyfriend's sister who works there, and his mom, who is the reason I signed up for the show because they've gone as customers. Um, and I was like, look, can you just tell me if there's actually like if I'm in a good spot? And they didn't really answer my question. I might have asked it weirdly, but whatever. Just went to registration to check in. They said, "Oh, by the way, we had to move you into a hallway because the wrestling mats were rolled up and like in your space and we can't move them." I was like, "Okay, whatever." And so this girl comes up to take me back to where this area is, and we're there. It's right outside the small gym where I was supposed to be. I guess no other vendors had ever been there before. Um, but I like froze in my steps just looking at the space because they had it taped like what was your allotted space. And I was like, this doesn't seem correct. And I was right. Space was supposed to be 10 by 6. There was no 6 feet. My 4 foot table was creeping over the edge. um, which we'll get to later. Whatever. I said whatever. I went out to get my stuff to set up. I only set up the bare minimum. I just set up my tables and grid walls and shelves and stuff. I did not really care for the way it was set up. um, and then I called you and I vented afterwards. um, Saturday comes, it's show day. My sister and I are setting up. There's not even like a behind the table space for us to sit. Like my 6 foot table, we had lengthwise up against the tape, and there's maybe like half a foot between the back of the table and the wall. So we couldn't even sit back there. We had to sit on either side of the 6 foot table. So we were so far apart from each other. So we couldn't have like private conversations. And it was really difficult to get to the money box and everything. It was difficult. And my chair was flush against the wall. And people were still walking over me and tripping over me. And I was like, I can't move people. Like I don't know why you could have moved that way a little bit, but they were walking over me, strollers were rolling over me, like it was it was rough.
As far as sales and bestsellers went, what did that look like?
Bestsellers was probably the elf hat because I only came back with one, but I only made five.
Hmm. Okay.
uh, I forgot the sales were actually ended up being pretty okay. It was 1,160.
Okay. And what's your likelihood to return to this market?
Mm, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really think it's necessary. I don't know where she got the information. Um, but Dave's mom told me she was she convinced me to do the show. She said there were no other crocheters there and that I would do well. And there were minimum 10 other crocheters, just like pure crochet at your booth. That doesn't include people who had like a mishmash of stuff at their table or knitters or any. There were so many crocheters.
That's the problem with some of these shows. Again, when they don't genuinely care about the vendor experience, they care about getting your money, and they don't care to jury for these things or set a cap. And it just makes me angry because again, you're setting up a bad experience for everybody, not even just the vendors, but also the customers because they don't want to see that many booths that have the same stuff and it's regardless of even if all 10 of you had totally different stuff with which honestly I don't even know how possible that is because, like, there's plushies, wearables, home decor. Like, there cannot be 10 different categories of crochet stuff, honestly. When you think about what a non-crocheter would perceive. Like, for us, maybe, I don't know, whatever. But, like, you're just making a bad experience for everybody, but you don't care because you're getting the money. It makes me angry. It just makes me so
Mhm.
frustrated.
I like a lot of videos I'm coming across on TikTok are people complaining about going to craft shows and seeing like all these crocheters and all these 3D printers. So it's like, as a crocheter, how are you supposed to take that? Like,
Right.
how are you supposed to actually do something?
I mean, you really can't. Like, it's not your fault because you're not the one who's approving all of these repeat vendors to come in. Like that you have no say in that decision, nor should you because you're not the organizer. Like that's literally their job to prevent these situations from happening. And again, I just get so frustrated because markets have just become this like cash cow for certain organizers, and I'm not saying all of them. Like I see really great organizers. Those are the ones I work with now, like who do a good job of making sure there aren't too many repeats in the same category. And even when there are, like, I know, like, the markets that I've done this year, mostly, like, that those organizers, they've had other crocheters, but those crocheters have different stuff than me. Like, so
Mhm.
very frustrating. And I'm glad to hear, like, your sales were at least good compared to what you paid booth fee wise, but to have that kind of experience, that would be so draining that I don't even know if that number would
Which is
make
what
up.
makes that so bad is like the number was fine, but the whole behind the scenes and organization just had me so worked up
Mm-hmm.
and upset. Like, I feel like people are going to think I'm overreacting, but it just seemed to be a common thing happening show after show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I've never, until really this year, last year's numbers were low, but then like to roll into this year and not only numbers be low, but then the organizers like losing their shit. I don't know what's going on. It's just so like deflating and just so exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And the
you can't
problem,
even like that's an okay number. That would have been a great number, but so it
mm-hmm.
like it's so contradictory that like why are you complaining? You didn't have $1,000 yesterday. Well, no, I didn't, but I also like have some kind of respect. Like,
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of the issue though too is like I think we talked about this at some point or maybe a couple points this year is like, for the most part, the organizers don't necessarily have an incentive to make changes unless people stop signing up for their shows. But to be honest, from what I'm seeing, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen because I continue to see more crocheters crop up and start businesses. And like, I'm not against that. Like, go get your bag. Like, if you want to monetize your hobby, like just like we have, like do it. Go for it because you're going to have a different take on it than other people because you are a unique person. But the fact of the matter is, as the businesses continue to crop up, they're um, without knowing what other vendor experiences are like, they're going to keep signing up for these shows, and these organizers are going to continue to do a crappy job of organizing, and it's just going to continue. Like I don't know what to do about it. Like there's really nothing you
Which
can do.
I've thought about. Yeah, I've thought about that. And back to discussions that we've been having about like having to go through the hard ones that maybe things will get better again. Is
Hmm.
that maybe like with so many new crocheters coming in, and it's hard because a lot of them are new crocheters immediately thinking, oh, I want to start a business with it, versus like me, I'm not saying anything about you, by the way. Like
Well, and even
me
still,
who's
I
been doing
crocheted
this.
for years before I started the
Yes,
business. Like it wasn't
yes,
brand new kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. So like versus us who have done it for years and decades, like making a business out of it. um I don't know where I was going with that.
There's just
You know what I mean.
there's
Like
just a level of
they're fresh.
quality. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And maybe they don't know what they're getting into. And maybe if I keep sticking it out, like it'll get back to a time where it's not so oversaturated.
And I think
Because
ultimate, go ahead.
there are some of our crochet influencers on the web are saying it's not oversaturated, you're not competition, it's just whatever, like community over competition. But it's getting to a point to me where I don't think that's the case, and not so much that it's competition, it's just um frustrating, I guess is the a word. I don't know if it's the word, but
Hmm.
it's frustrating.
I think ultimately in these situations it's gonna come down to, in theory, right, in the capitalist hellscape that we live in, right, the people that don't make a quality item, they don't survive, they eventually leave. Like I guess that's part of what you hope for, but then also I think in situations like this is where the networking piece becomes so important. Granted, it's hard because like I know at the same shows that I have done as other people in different categories, I have fared much worse or much better than they did. And even to be able to compare with a vendor who's been at certain shows, if they're not in the same category, and even if they are in the same category, that doesn't necessarily predict that the following year it's going to be the same, whatever. But I do think, as far as being able to put yourself in a position where you're signing up for shows that are run by respectful organizers, that is where the networking piece comes into play and becomes so important because at least then, even if it's not necessarily the same experience as far as the financials go, at least you'll know whether or not you'll have a good experience because you're respected for being there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, anything else to share on these three markets that you had?
Nope. Just my next one is my last one of the year. And it's always every year been my favorite. Knock on all the wood. um, so I'm actually looking forward to this one. Uh, so let's hope the year ends on a good note.
I hope so too, for your sake. How long do you have before this one?
About a month. It is December 13th.
December 13th. There's so many things going on that day. That's Taylor Swift's birthday, first of all. So Anyway, but like that weekend, I've got so much going on. Not a market. My last market is December 7th. But yeah, we'll talk about that in the next episode, or at least start talking about it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. Please rate and follow our podcast wherever you are listening to us from. Be sure that you also follow our business accounts on Instagram and Facebook. Jess is at Craic Creations, Craic spelled like the podcast, Craic, and I'm at Yellow of the Egg Designs. And make sure to subscribe to Jess on her YouTube channel and
Yes.
give her videos a watch.
Yes, please.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.